I asked AI whether it could replace QuickBooks, and it said no. It gave me a very reasonable list of reasons. Audit trails, double entry ledgers, bank integrations, compliance-ready filings, regulatory expectations, all the institutional plumbing that accounting software provides. And I did what any good accountant would do. I nodded along and I said, yes, that's right. But then I stopped nodding because I started thinking about the actual work I do inside QuickBooks and Xero, and more importantly, the actual work my clients need done. And I realized that for a meaningful chunk of that work, AI's answer is wrong, and I could prove it. Using AI, of course. Let me walk you through 3 scenarios. Each one adds a layer of complexity, and in all 3, AI already does the job. Scenario 1, the shoebox. You know this client. Sole proprietor, no employees, cash basis accounting, no balance sheet to worry about, no receivables, no payables, just a year's worth of receipts sitting in a folder, or more accurately, a shoebox on their kitchen counter. Blake Oliver made this point on a recent episode of the Accounting Podcast, and he's spot on. Take these receipts, drop them into a Claude Cowork folder, and ask it to read, catalog, and categorize every single one. But also, give it a tax schedule as context. A Schedule C, a T2125 in Canada, a T777 for rental properties, a New Zealand IR10, whatever applies to your jurisdiction and to this client's tax needs. And it will code every receipt into a tax-ready format, not approximately, pretty accurately, in minutes, not hours. No QuickBooks subscription, no Xero subscription, no software at all. Now here's the part that matters for you as the practitioner. The output isn't some magic number pulled out of thin air. Everything gets exported to a spreadsheet. Full transaction catalog. Every categorization decision documented. You've got your audit trail. And I'd argue it's a better audit trail than what most small firms produce manually, because every single decision is recorded and traceable. Now, scenario 2, the bank statement. Add a layer here. Instead of receipts, you're working with a full year of bank transactions, CSV exports or PDF statements. Now, Jason Stats talked about exactly this on his Jason on Firms podcast. 960 transactions, categorized in 12 minutes. Not approximately categorized, perceivably perfect. Feed AI the bank data, again pointed to the right tax schedule for context, and you've got a categorized transaction register ready to support a tax return. The secret, if you can call it that, is context, a chart of accounts, a tax form structure. That's what turns a generic AI into a CAS-specific tool. That's context engineering in practice. You're not asking AI to guess what your client needs. You're telling it exactly what framework to use, and it applies that framework to every single transaction. Again, everything exports to Excel. Full documentation, full traceability. Now, scenario 3, and this is the one that really changed my thinking, the quick ledger. And most firms have some version of this, an Excel workbook that captures bank statement data, posts a few journals with debits and credits, and gets you to a revised trial balance. It's more structured than a simple transaction list, and it gets you to basic financial statements relatively quickly. And it breaks constantly. You know everything I'm talking about, right? You add a new account, you copy a row but you miss a formula, insert something that wasn't in the original template, and suddenly nothing balances. And you spend 20 minutes hunting for a formula error that shouldn't exist. The temptation is to spin up a Xero subscription just for the engine, even if you only need it for a month, just to get the automation around the transactions. So I asked Claude Cowork to build me one. A single-page accounting system, CSV import from any bank account, predefined chart of accounts with the ability to add new ones, a columnar ledger format, journal entry capability, and basic financial statements. It took 10 minutes to produce a working prototype. Now, is it ready for my firm to use today or tomorrow? No. It needs refinement. It needs some better coding workflows. It needs some better exception handling. Maybe a day of focused development, I guess. But that's a day of work to replace a brittle spreadsheet that's been causing headaches for years. And here's the real advantage that I didn't expect. The data lives in a markdown file. You can reopen it next year, import it for the following period, hand it to a colleague. It's portable, it's readable, and it doesn't lock you into any proprietary format or a subscription. Now, I bet you want to see what it looks like, right? Well, if you hang till the end of the video after the closing slide, I'll give you a quick walkthrough. Now, let me come back to what AI told me when I first asked that question. It said it couldn't replace QuickBooks because of trust and compliance. Banks want statements from a recognized system. Tax authorities expect filings from established software. Auditors want a trail that they can look into. Now, these are real constraints, and I'm not dismissing them, but they are institutional constraints, not technical ones. And they apply to a shrinking slice of the market. The sole proprietor with a shoebox of receipts doesn't need QuickBooks' audit trail. They need accurate numbers on a tax return. The firm using a quick ledger workbook doesn't need QBO's bank feed integration. They need a ledger that doesn't break when you add a row. For these use cases, and these are not edge cases, they represent a significant chunk of compliance work. AI already does the job. Today. Not in some future version, not when the technology matures, right now. For limited use cases, AI can already replace your accounting software. Those use cases are going to expand faster than most of us expect. Intuit, Xero, consider this your warning shot. Now, if you want to see exactly how to do what I just described, from categorizing transactions to building working ledger systems inside Claude Cowork, well, I wrote the book on it, literally. It's called Your Practice Automated. It's the first guide to Claude Cowork built specifically for accounting professionals. It's got some ready-to-use templates, a small prompt library for common CAS workflows, and a companion video series that walks you through implementation in 5 days. Grab the Kindle edition on Amazon and you'll get the free 5-day video course when you register at theaiaccountant.ai/resources. Or just go to that page to get both the PDF and the 5-day video course. Okay, so I promised that I'd give you a quick walkthrough of this prototype I created. I have to stress this is unscripted, and this is something not ready for production. It was a proof of concept that I created. It literally took less than 10 minutes to build this. You can see on the left here, I'm in Cowork, and I gave it some instructions. The way I do this is I actually asked it some opening questions here, and then I gave it some information about our quick ledger spreadsheet, and it started building. I literally just sat down, switched on my microphone, dictated for a couple of minutes. You can see there a few paragraphs worth, and this is what it created. I made one minor iteration to it, but you can see here the tool in use. So let me just walk you through it really quickly. You've got an opening screen where you can set your dates. You've got a basic chart of accounts that you can edit and manage. I have a built import functionality for that. You can go to a bank account screen and you can say that you want to just add a bank account. You can have multiple bank accounts. Okay, in the bank account screen, you can import a CSV file. Click pass. It's now imported that transaction. I did not pause that camera. It just went straight here that quickly. This is 123 transactions. It goes through and you might give it some coding. I'm just going to randomly select a few things here. We'll make that revenue. Okay, and if I just import that for a second and I go to my trial balance, you'll see right now I've got no opening balance. I've got some activity from the bank account, and I've got my closing trial balance. And let's say he has some accounts receivable that hasn't gone through the bank account, so you want to do a journal. And so now I just want to click a date here and say accrued revenue with my bad typing, and we're going to debit accounts receivable and credit sales revenue for $5,000. And we'll click Save Journal. And now we'll go back to our trial balance, and you can now see there's a journals column with the correct debit and credit entered. And now I've got some updated closing balances. Okay, let's say I want to now look at my financials, It's automatically generated a profit and loss report or an income statement and a balance sheet. Yes, $33,000 of bank charges overdrawn or negative just because it had pre-coded some things that I haven't bothered to correct. But again, proof of concept. Can I go from a question, an audible statement of what I want, to a working version? Yes, 10 minutes. Could I turn this into something I could actively roll out within my firm and use? Absolutely. From here, I save and load. I can simply download all that content as a markdown file. And if I want to open it up again, I simply load the markdown file back into the memory and it's back to where I left it off. Whether that be to import the opening balances, whether that be to add the next bank account or review the financials. Simple one-page quick ledger. Easier than a spreadsheet. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun playing with it. I'm looking forward to seeing where I can take this within my firm and make this available to my team.